hands down, one of the best things about Yu-Gi-Oh right now is that there are so many powerful Yu-Gi-Oh decks. But what if I told you that there were some strategies that not a lot of people were paying attention to that are really, really good right now? Well, don't worry, big dog. Today, I'm going to be telling you about some really interesting decks that you can actually be winning with right now. Not only does every single one of these decks provide a unique and different experience, I'll also be giving you proven reasons why these decks are incredibly good right now. Of course, big dog, as per usual, I'll also be putting personal deck lists on my Patreon as a special thank you for helping me pay my editors. And throughout this month, if you go to duelingguard.com and use the code CaliEffect, I will be donating 100% of my proceeds to Toys for Tots. So make sure you pick something up for yourself so you can help some people out in need. Let's jump on in. One of the most important things about figuring out which decks can thrive is about figuring out what trends are really popular in Yu-Gi-Oh right now. You can pretty much consider it a game within a game, and I've identified 3 really popular trends that players are using and some decks that can go with those trends. Of course, big dog, stick around and I'll reveal all 3 trends. But also, if you think that there's some other decks that you want to talk about, go ahead and appease the algorithm gods and let us know down below in the comment section. I think one of the most important things when you're building a Yu-Gi-Oh deck is that you have to figure out what are some of the best decks or the best used cards in your area and figure out strategies that can help counter them. It is, and I mean it is, incredibly important to have a strategy that is really good at what's going on right now. You can steal so many Yu-Gi-Oh games just off of that. And one thing that I've noticed like crazy is there are a ton of combo Yu-Gi-Oh players. They're everywhere. In my eyes, combo Yu-Gi-Oh players have that little hat with the little helicopter thing on it. They're always trying to drool and figure out something really, really new. One thing to stop combo players is tons and tons of hand interruptions. So it pretty much means that you're going to need a deck that can play a ton of hand interruptions, but more importantly, be able to operate with 1 or 2 cards to be able to facilitate its full combo. That's where Marine Test comes in. I think Marine Test is actually a crazy good Yu-Gi-Oh deck. It even topped YCS Bologna last weekend, so you already know it is a strategy that can compete at the highest level. And one of the better things about Marine Test is that even your 1 or 2 cards can allow you to be able to search a card called Marine Test Wave, which is essentially another hand interruption plus being able to get into your engine. Marine Test is easily one of the best decks at being able to play a ton of hand traps and get into your 1 and 2 card full combos, especially when you consider that you can make your monsters unaffected to just about anything. It's going to be really hard for your opponent to get over. But even if you did go against a situation where your opponent just may have a board that you may not like, one of my favorite things to do with this deck is summon a World Sea Dragon Zealantis. Under normal circumstances, this card is decent at being able to get rid of all cards on the field because they come back, but if you activated any of your Marine Test monster effects that lock you into water monsters, when you activate World Sea Dragon Zealantis, you can't special summon any monsters back that aren't water. That includes your opponent's monsters. So the deck has another facet that is actually really good against combo decks, being able to stop them in their tracks and also being able to get rid of the board that's established. Now, I could just give you 1, but I'm actually going to give you 2 in this particular situation. If you wanted to go really hidden with this, another good combo killer, a deck that nobody is paying attention to, is Shaddoll Invoked Dogmatica. Shaddoll Invoked Dogmatica. Holy crap, it's been a very long time, so I can. But the difference with Invoked is that your hand traps can actually become food for your Invoked cards. Effect Veiler and Nibiru allow you to make an easy Mechaba. Combos going, meaning that your hand traps can actually be something really good to stop your opponent. But the difference with Invoked is that your hand traps can actually become food for your Invoked cards. Effect Veiler and Nibiru allow you to make an easy Mechaba. Ash Blossom makes Perigatrio, and Droll and Logbird allows you to be able to summon Radjin. And in case you genuinely do not like combo players, El Shaddai Winda is a crazy good card, preventing them from being able to special summon multiple times. That could be a game ender. Hand traps are a huge point in contingency right now, and if your particular deck can't play through hand interruptions, you may have a hard time. So maybe if you are experiencing players using a ton of hand traps or decks that can use a lot of hand traps, then maybe consider playing a deck that can effectively dodge most of them. I know it may not seem as obvious, but there's actually quite a few Yu-Gi-Oh strategies that are built to be able to play around a lot of hand effects. One of my favorite decks is easily Vanquish Soul. And this is another deck that has been topping ever since it came out in Wild Survivors. This deck is incredibly powerful. And the reason why it's so good at making a lot of hand interruptions look ridiculous, some of the most commonly played are Infinite Impermanence and Ash Blossom, it's simply how Vanquish Soul works. Your Vanquish Soul monsters like Razin and Mad Love may seem vulnerable to those cards at first, but when you can chain the effect of Heavy Borger and Caesar Kaiser to your opponent's hand trap effects to be able to dodge them, it actually becomes a net positive for you. You'll be able to get the card that you need, and your opponent has one less card in their hand. Also, if you play Vanquish Soul effectively, you'll never summon over more than 5 times in one given turn. This deck is incredibly good at being able to play around some of the best cards in the game. And while Ash Blossom does hit every single Yu-Gi-Oh deck, when your opponent uses Ash Blossom on a card like Razin or Jialong, they're actually trading bad. And it's mainly because Vanquish Soul is built to be able to gain these monster effects over and over again. They're just stopping you from a one-time search. Even a card like Droll Lockbird could theoretically shut down Vanquish Soul, but not only do a lot of players play Dimension Shifter, this deck also can search on your opponent's turn too, so oftentimes it's not completely hindered by it. But another deck that's actually incredible against hand traps is Virtual World. Those same cards like Infinite Impermanence and Effect Veiler are completely useless against Virtual World because those monster effects activate in the hand. And a lot of times if they ever can get off that Ash Blossom, it's only for one of your Virtual World monster effects. If you play it crafty enough, you can just activate other cards to continue to keep going. Also, Droll Lockbird against Virtual World, that normally just doesn't work. And lastly, one thing that I've noticed which is really important in Yu-Gi-Oh right now is actually having a deck that's good at going second. I know what you're thinking, who would ever want to go second, but it's actually a tried and true method for some strategies, or maybe you just suck at winning the dice roll. That happens to me from time to time, so I'll just pick my going second deck and be able to destroy them. Ironically, these decks can go first and are really good when they do go first, but are also very good at going second. The one that I have to tell you about is Kashtira. Kashtira is actually way stronger than what people are giving it credit. Losing Kashtira Riseheart did take this deck out of top tier status, but this is genuinely an underrated Yu-Gi-Oh deck that not a lot of people are paying attention to. And the reason is because the Kashtira monsters are just huge monsters that you can summon to your side of the field. More often than not, they're simply just stronger than your opponent's cards. And even if they aren't, we know how powerful Kashtira Fenrir is, and well, that is a Kashtira card. This deck actually takes the most advantage out of the card by using Kashtira Theosis to be able to summon it from the deck, and also being able to use Kashtira Birth to continuously cycle it back to your side of the field. You can also check your opponent's extra deck with Unicorn, which is way more powerful now than before because no one is prepared for being able to lose cards in their extra deck. And then Ogre. Ogre's actually good. Kashtira's natural ability for being able to go second and help you break boards, whether it's through ranks or your normal Kashtira effects, combined with powerful spell cards like Triple Tactics Talent and Enemy Controller, make Kashtira a really good deck to be able to play inside of this format. Kashtira has secretly been winning quite a few events this format too. It's a very viable deck, but let's say you're looking for something a little bit more spicy. I would easily have to welcome you to Therions, my friend. Now, when I first built the Therion deck, I did not think it would be this powerful, but it actually really is good at going second. On surface level, the only cards that come to mind for Yu-Gi-Oh players are Therion King Regulus. That card's really good at being able to stop your opponent's cards, and Therion Lily Borea, which can search you Therion Disc Coliseum. But the deck is so much more than just those cards. Take, for example, Therion Irregular, where if you discard an Endless Engine aggro, you can destroy your opponent's entire board. And Therion Empress Alacia, allowing you to be able to special summon other Therion monsters to your side of the field. Ironically, the theme of the deck is to force your opponent to use most of their effects on the Therions or the Horus cards, or use those to be able to develop a board or break your opponent's board since they're simply strong monsters. But if all else fails and your opponent exhausts all of their resources, this deck has a one-card combo that is crazy. Vista Samsara is often used in the Monadium strategy, but in this deck, it actually is really good at being able to cycle through level 8 monsters to the side of the field. And it even ties back to the Therion monsters. You can make Gigantia Champion Sargets to be able to search Therion cards, or Diablantis to be able to send Borea from your deck to the graveyard. By just summoning Vista Samsara, this deck can Link Summon, Exceed Summon, Synchro Summon, and Fusion Summon all in one card, allowing you to be able to push through whatever your opponent has to break their board and potentially go for game. And fortunately enough, I just so happen to have made a deck profile and a live duel using this particular strategy. It's really fun to play, and if you're up to the challenge, a skilled player can do some tremendous things with it. And that's all that I have for some of the most interesting decks that you could be using to be winning right now. Of course, big dog, you already know what it is. Be sure to bless the algorithm gods and talk as much down below in the comment section. Let us know some other cool decks and your thoughts about these decks that I just talked about. And always, big dog, I hope you are having a phenomenal day. You can go ahead and check out these videos so I can catch you on the next one.